Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Let me just end this. So, hi. We are actually starting. So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the live. I see there are four eyes, and hopefully, as we progress, there will be more eyes. And not to worry, this will be posted at the PIA uh, FB page. It will also be on my YouTube channel, so we can come back to it over and over and over again. So, without further ado, let me acknowledge first Pinoy indie authors who's hosting where we are right now. Thank you, Yumi, and the rest of PIA. So, I am Maita. Here are some of my works. I am a teacher, and like my other co authors here, we are from PIA. I write in different genres, and I am also an teacher in the arts, and I am also a teacher in fiction writing. So here are my details. And I would like to introduce Amy Granada, a fiction writer who delights cross genre to create fresh and unexpected stories before turning her focus to fiction. She was published in traditional media for her travel articles, short story, and poetry. And for more than 20 years, she taught English at a Japanese school in BGC. So, wave, Amy! So here are some of Amy's books. Wow, The Romantic Travel Writer. And you can follow Amy. Here are her details. So, not to worry, we'll come back to that later. And we have Idle Mind. She's an author, a daydreamer, and a self proclaimed procrastinator. Something we teachers are. Anyways, congratulations on the launch of your book. So, this is her books.
Thank you
They
po.
actually have very cute covers. So, thank you for joining us here. Thank you, everyone who is tuned in then, because we want to have a friendly discussion. And if you have a question or comments, not to worry, just put them in the comment section and we'll tackle them through the course of the discussion. So, during our discussion here, we're going to be very casual, guys. We're not going to be very strict or anything like that. So, if you have comments, no worries. Just put them in the comment section. Amy, Idol, and I will tackle it as we see an opportunity. So, welcome everyone to Empathy in Ink, Beyond the Narrative. With the recent violence in the classroom, not just the Tacloban one, even the one in General Trias and others, it it is sad, I suppose, or scary. Amy, Idol, how do you guys feel about it? Are you more scared or more sad?
Miss Amy. You take the floor first po.
Yeah. When I first learned about it, I really was shocked first, and then because I thought will never happen in the Philippines. Then
Me
it happened three times in 1 week, so I was really shocked, and then I really felt sad until now. I don't know. I'm emotionally, parang stressed, distressed, and stressed.
Yeah.
So because I have children and I have grandsons, and I really am concerned for their safety in school. So that's what first came into my mind. My apples.
Yeah. Scary, no?
Mm-hmm.
How about you,
Well,
Idol?
in my case naman po, this is the main reason why I don't really read news nowadays because most of the time we read negative news. And upon hearing that from one of my colleagues, I just felt sad because, I mean, we know that children or the students should be the future of this country, but the idea of them staining their hands with blood because of, let's say, the stuff that has been going on around, it's really saddening because hindi siya yung expected ko na future for the Filipino kids, to be honest. And
True.
it's really difficult to picture it out because alam niyo po yun, you're wearing uniform, you're supposed to be educated, but then this happened. So parang ang hirap niya pong i-accept at some point because it wasn't something that expecting about students who are supposed to be at school.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first heard the news, I had to like do a double take. And yeah, you're right about the disbelief part, to the point where I had to look for different sources. Kasi parang what? School shooting? Following the Columbine, and then you find out, I found out the next day that about the t-shirt and stuff, 'di ba? Parang what? So, was it a copycat? Was it
That's
what? So, 'di ba, parang hindi hindi pa mag-grasp ng head ko until the
Mm.
next day. Talagang, what did I just learn? Parang ganon.
because
Oh,
it
by the
never
way,
happened in the
look, it's
Philippines, right?
Yumi. Hi, Yumi. She says
Hello, Miss
hello.
Yumi. Honestly po, news like this, naririnig or napapanood ko lang siya sa mga states sa US because it's quite
Mhm.
common for them to have this kind of thing. But hearing this from the Philippines was it's really nakaka hindi ko po masasabi if I'm frustrated or I think it's I'm not blaming the social media though, but the thing is parang dun siya parang dun na parang nag-boom siya amongst the teens, parang dun naging sobrang open-minded na in a negative way nung karamihan po sa mga kabataan. Kaya nakakalungkot pong isipin.
True. Hi, Yumi. Yumi sending a wave. So true. It is. And then right now everyone's playing the blame game, 'di ba?
Yes.
So I
Yes
think
po.
that's more like me. I feel frustrated when they started to do the blame game. The oh, it's the game. Oh, it's the social media. Oh, it's the bullying. Oh, it's the, they're blaming everything, but I suppose there's something deeper there. Like the fact that they copied the Columbine. Uh, I don't think this is me personally. Me, I don't think this has anything to do with bullying, because they're following the classic school shooter trope trait, and these guys have nothing to do with um, being bullied, whether they were or they weren't. I think their main thing is notoriety, especially right now. All their conversations are out now on social media, but they were able to
Yes
take
po.
the conversations nila and things that they posted on Instagram. So they have a manifesto which they posted in Instagram. They actually started posting what they wanted to do to the school, their classmates. So classic school shooter, first world problems bleeding into us here. So it's really pretty scary. Pretty scary
Yes,
na.
it's scary.
Yeah. So, that's I suppose you could say that's the state of the classroom. But like we teachers, the three of us especially, we're teachers, and we often feel the weight of the admin, systemic inertia then, especially when we're responding to crisis. Because let's face it, dito sa atin, di ba, we're more reactive. Our government is reactive, our school admins are reactive. But beyond the protocols provided by the school or government, What small, tangible, and immediate ways do you think we teachers, so I'm opening this discussion to all teachers listening out there, then what are ways that we can foster a culture of safety and emotional intelligence? This is for, I suppose, our current classroom ngayon. So, Amy, why don't you start?
Yes. I have a question. Are the teachers in the Philippines really ready for these situations? No.
This
Yes.
is coming
What
from
are
this
the
coming from ano ha, from
protocols
someone who
provided by
teaches
the
in
school?
senior high.
Yes.
I don't I haven't taught public school per se. My experiences in public school are all in volunteer basis. So prior to me moving to Davao, when I was still living in Manila, we had a program where we had volunteer. Uh, hindi talaga kami tawag teachers because it's only a Saturday program. We were more called tutors. So the kids will come in, five schools yon. It was hosted by Binild at that time. I don't know if the program's still running ngayon. Five public schools signed up. They go to the school instead of us going to the individual schools. Kasi that time, kulang kaming volunteers. We're like 20 volunteers or less. So, 'di ba, times how many subjects and then iilang schools 'yon, hindi talaga kasya. So the school made a decision that the five public school nearest Lasal and Binild will be hosted by Binild every Saturday. And then we have like math tutorial, English tutorial, science tutorial. And then there were other things like what do you call this? Music, arts, PE, but PE is more of games. Um, so I took care of art. I was assigned grade 4 art. So yun yung pinaka public school ko na experience. I don't go to their school, they come to our. So I suppose iba yung ano, but with teaching senior high, uh it's different. I suppose cuz mas grown up na, may malay na sila. They're not kids anymore. They're not adorable anymore, especially when they do something wrong. Um it's hard to balance, especially at that age where supposed to be fully formed na sila, grade 11, grade 12. They're supposed to have their emotional intelligence quite formed. Maybe not 100%, but it's there. They can make sound decisions already, especially in their own what do you call this? Let's say precision papers, essays, artworks. I do a lot of essays kasi with my artwork. So you can see na dapat formed ng kanilang intelligence. And then you have the government now saying that these 14, 15-year-olds don't have the emotional capacity or intelligence to accept or realize what they've done. But we see contrary to that kasi because nga na-leak na ang kanilang mga conversations. So now
Yeah.
we can see they knew. Idol, do you have any thoughts to this?
Okay. So to answer this question for that, what are the small, tangible, immediate ways we can foster cultural safety inside the class? To be honest, though, just like you, Miss Maita, I hadn't really taught in an actual school because after graduation or after graduating from college, I jumped into teaching IELTS, PTE, and TOEFL. So I had been an instructor for like 10 years. Just
Wow.
recently, I work as an ESL teacher. So like it's an English, a secondary language for foreign speakers. So I the only experience I had with the classroom setup was during my practicum in college. Pero regarding this one, so how do we foster this emotional intelligence? Is I would say kind of a challenging task for most teachers because I just noticed that ever since po, the main focus of schools, I don't know, I'm not, it's just my, ano, my perspective lang po, that their main focus is on honing the IQ, not the EQ. So parang
Yeah.
lahat nakafocus sa academic excellence ng student, that you have to perform well, because if you don't, you'll be at the bottom. If you don't, you're not gonna be you'll not be able to graduate. So if you don't graduate, hindi ka makakapag-work sa magagandang companies like that. So parang na if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong po. As far as I could remember, the three main aspects that we teachers should build in our students are their emotional, their affective domain, their physical domain, and their intellectual domain. If I'm not mistaken po. But the thing
True.
is, ang naging focus is mostly on the academics, which is sa IQ lang nakafocus, or maybe not the physical thing, but the EQ is kind of like left behind. So I think one of the ways in which we can foster this one po is by simply asking the students how they feel before we even start the class. Because that's what
Yeah.
we're doing. I mean, yun na po yung ginagawa ko ngayon dun sa work ko. Every time I would talk to my student, lagi pong, how are you feeling today? Just for them to know that someone cares about what they feel for the day. Just for them to feel like, oh, someone thinks about how am I doing. Kasi if we just disregard a person's feeling, kasi yun yung way of building rapport din po with students, di ba po? So, in order for you, or in order for the teacher to gain the trust of their student, the student should first feel that they're being cared for. Like they should feel that somebody is there na willing, na parang open to listen to them whenever they need to speak to. Kasi ang nangyayari po ngayon, kids or even teenagers to be specific, they would often just talk to their peers. And syempre iba po yung mindset ng peers nila. Iba din yung mindset ng adults. So, as a teacher po, one of the things I think is yun nga, first off, ask muna how the student is doing. Siguro, as teachers, we also have to encourage them to express their opinions respectfully. Like they're allowed. We should embody the person na open tayong makinig sa kanila, not the one who would just show them off na, oh, I don't want to listen to whatever you're ranting about. So parang as teachers, we should be friendly with limits, of course. Kasi baka pag
Agree.
sobrang friendly naman tayo, mawala naman ng respeto yung mga bata, diba? So I think
True.
it's more of like, we need to be friendly with them so that we could gain their trust to the point na pag meron silang mga pinagdadaanan, hindi silang mag-hesitate po na mag-open up po sa atin as teachers nila. Because I think an adult's perspective is very helpful po for the children, especially na teachers po yung mas madalas nilang kasama on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Mm. So, hello, Yuki. Yuki Winter is here. And Yumi actually has
Hi,
an
Yuki.
opinion din. So, Yumi says, I think there should be a periodic psychological testing in school, starting with the teachers. You know what? Yumi is right because us teachers, we
Yes
need
po.
that psych service more than ever. Because, especially no pandemic,
Yes.
parents were dependent on us teachers. We became their sounding board, even for things that had nothing to do with school. Like, ito ha guys, as in, middle of the night, tatawagan ka, nag-away ang parents, ikaw ang sounding board ni nanay. Talagang, what? Diba? So, those were the times, and you cannot say no because you kind of feel for them then, and of course you feel for your student who you're thinking, great, narinig ba niya yung away ng parents niya, ano kaya yung ano niya bukas. So right now with all this happening, not just Tacloban, because as I said, there were, you also mentioned there were three other incidents, and actually, after the school shooting, they saw a lot of very disturbing things online because these two school shooters actually had contact with other like minded kids like them who were, sad to say, planning their own thing. Um, it falls to the teachers again. Tayo na naman yung kanilang sounding board, the parents. You're the ano kasi first line of defense. for the parents. You're the ones that they see. The parents, they don't see the admin, they see the teachers. So as much as the students want reassurance from you na it's okay, ganyan. The parents then they want that reassurance then. The moment the teacher says it's okay, we'll make a plan, we'll do something, um, it it does makita mo yung relief in the parent's face. But at the same time, Yumi is right. The psychological testing thing, because kawawa din ang teachers. I myself
Yes.
was a victim of this, too much load on me, and that's just 40 kids per class. Pero I really felt it to the point na nagkasakit na ako. Like I was really sickly for the last 2 years before I quit being an advisor, being a teacher. 8 subjects naman din yung teach ko. My lips were blue, my gums were gray, my BP was all over the place. So I understand that, yeah, this is hard on the teachers. Um, a lot of I suppose the reactivity of dep ed is nasa teacher na naman eh, teacher training. Uh, I feel like siguro we need the help of parents, especially Amy. Amy, you are a parent. Let's say, God forbid, there was an incident in the school. Di ba, we kind of tend to blow up, of course, on the school na, oh my gosh, well, anong nangyari sa school na to? Pero I suppose I would like your opinion here. What do you think? How much can parents go in or help intervene something?
Kasi as a mother, ako kasi I respect the teachers. So I know my
I love you.
kids. Yes, I know my kids. And I know their strengths and weaknesses. And when the teacher tells me that your son is makulit, and what I say is I'm sorry. That's all. Because I have been teaching in a Japanese school and I can see yung discipline nila. Talagang they have discipline and the way they teach the kids. They do, the parents are really active also in school, but the teachers, they counsel the children. They really give time to counsel the children. Imagine that.
Nice.
Mhm. So me as a mother, I really respect the teachers and I say sorry to the teachers if something happens in school. Of course, I know that they're not going to touch my kids unless they really do something bad, right? So I know that's not gonna happen, and I talk to my kids. I tell them that in a Japanese school, you don't explain. You just say sorry. If you did something, you say sorry. You admit
Sorry
and
po,
you
I think I
say
got disconnected.
ganun.
Oh, it's okay. We can hear you, Idol.
Thank you
Ganun
po.
sa Japanese school. If
So, hi, Julie.
something
Thank
wrong,
you for tuning
yun
in.
lang.
So, yeah, yeah. Thank you for that. We as teachers, we really want to hear something like that kasi
Iba-iba naman
yeah,
kasi ang parents eh, right? Kasi ako I know my
depends. Sorry. You get mix. You get wonderful parents, and you get, alam mo
yes.
yung mga tipong parents na if they didn't like the grade, or they didn't like na sinabi mo medyo makulit yung anak
Oo.
nila, ipapatulfo kita. That's,
Oh
that's a
my
running
God.
joke in the faculty room. Kung sinong napatulfo.
That's why
Sino napatulfo this week?
I stayed there for many years because I like the system.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
walang sakit.
All right. So let's move on to our next topic. For the students who were directly involved in not just Tacloban, any of the violence that was happening involved, I know they're traumatized by the incident. Reading can be a double-edged sword. How do you approach the selection of literature? I know the two of you are English teachers, so do you guys assign reading maybe? Oh, may pahabol na comment pala si Yuki. Sabi ni Yuki, yung Karen daw. And
Yeah.
sabi ni Yuki, yung stage mom. Okay, so let's go back to the topic. Do you guys assign like books to read for your students? Because you guys are ano, English teachers, so is assigning like a reading material part of your curricula?
So
Amy?
first of all, before giving them anything to read, I should ask them first, um, are they okay like that? And I would avoid assigning texts that closely mirror the traumatic event. I would avoid avoid that, especially the immediate aftermath. Maybe I will just be concerned about ano, their emotional well-being. Okay. And maybe I would give them something to read, stories that emphasize hope, resilience, recovery, helping each other, and coping.
Yeah. Idol? What about you? Do
Okay.
you mhm.
Okay, so regarding this one po, we don't really have this. I mean, since the place that I work po ngayon is more on conversational learning, parang mas more on talk po kasi yung gusto matutunan ng mga students. Sometimes if some students, I learned that some of my students are into reading, I would always recommend books by, what do you call that? Si Mitch Albom po. Especially the
Mitchell?
Tuesdays with Maury. Yes, because I think the way he writes his books is mostly very emotional po. Like you would learn emotions. I mean, I don't know if you've read from him, but yung mga books niya po is mostly into tapping into one's emotion po talaga. So, I think,
I
ayun,
remember
yun
that
mostly.
Tuesdays with Maury. I think I was still in high school when I read it.
Tuesday with Maury, I read that.
That one po,
Teacher
honestly po, I wasn't able to
mentor.
read pa yung the first phone call from heaven because hindi po kaya ng puso ko. Parang ang hirap
Oh,
niya pong basahin.
I
So,
haven't read that
ayun.
one yet either. Yeah, I actually do assigned reading. I do a lot of assigned reading, even in art class. Anyways, yeah, I actually do have a lot of lists, which I did put in my website for grades 7 to 10s and 11s and 12s. Um, Ito lang napansin ko, I don't know if you guys napansin nyo din. The reading level of the high school students ngayon is a little different from when we were in high school. And yeah, I have to admit na 25 years ago na ako in high school because I'm about to celebrate my Valada next year. And it's a big celebration because it's 25. So I remember when we were in high school, we read a lot. Um, we really had a reading culture thanks to our English teacher. Pero even before her, I remember when I was in first year pa lang, I was really new in that school. You know, hindi naman new to Manila, pero new to that part of town. Kasi for the first how many years, my parents kept me closer to home lang na, sa village lang na schools. This one was a little far from the school and really different. And for context, Assumption, San Lorenzo. So that's a little far from my house. Pero dream talaga yun ng lola ko and dream talaga yun ng mom ko that I would be in that school. And what shocked me was, and ito, from a family of readers. Grabing avid readers kami. I was reading Shakespeare at like 6 years old. So when I got there and they were reading Shakespeare, I felt like I was in my element. And nauso yung that time nauso yung chicken soup tsaka yung Sisters of the Traveling Pants. And hindi ako nakahiram nung ano, the Sisters of the Traveling Pants, pero the chicken soup, yun I remember people were passing it around class and we would all read every kind of chicken soup that we can. So there was really this reading atmosphere happening, and we would really read thick books. Like maalala ko because I borrowed somebody's Harry Potter, and you remember Harry Potter is this thick, right? So nung hinigam ko yon, it's like you only have a week because you have to give it to ganyan, and talagang wow, natapos ko yung natapos ko yung book na ganun kabilis. And ngayon the kids, I would assign them not even a full book, just a chapter. Hindi pa nila kaya in a week. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening ngayon? Yun ang I
That's
don't
the
know.
mm,
How about you, Amy? Do
It's
you
really
do you
different po
get your
talaga
students to, or
nowadays.
do you get your kids? Sorry, Idol, I didn't hear that.
It's okay po.
Okay, Amy, do you get your kids to read?
well. I think they're reading now. When they were young, I gave them a lot of books because when I was young, I really read a lot,
Mm,
and so I paid I paid them to read. But
Ganon.
I don't know what.
Malulugi ka sa akin. Marami kami ng mga kapatid ko mag-read.
But now I think they're reading because they want uh, to have this atmosphere of reading, and I always tell them that we have to put down our cell phones and read,
Yes.
be in a cafe, be alone, read something like that.
Yeah.
Read my books.
Actually, ako naman binabribe ng mom ko not to read. Kasi
Oh,
she's like, "You
really?
guys are," yeah, kasi she's like, "You guys are teenagers. I want you to go to the
Go
party. I
out.
want you to go to out. I
Yeah,
want you to go ganyan. If you
I
go to this
see.
party,
Mhm.
I will buy you a book next time we go to the mall." I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." So we'll go to the party. Nandun lang kami sa isang dulo. We're not allowed to bring a book, by the
Yun.
way. Ngayon, of
Mhm.
course, may cellphone na, di ba? May e-book na tayo.
Mhm.
Pero back
Mhm.
then, wala pa.
Yeah, I
So,
have that. They gave me a
the e-reader,
Kindle. They gave me a
wala.
Kindle. Yeah.
Hindi pa naabutan
I
that
don't
time,
use it.
eh. Anyway, so ang ginagawa ng sister ko tsaka ako, because that time we really like to go into series books kasi ano, the kumbaga
What
story
what
keeps
what
going on,
series
'di ba?
books?
Yeah. Tapos there was a time na ewan na-addict kaming dalawa sa ano, R.L. Stein, Goosebumps, yung mga
Ah,
ganong
yeah,
type of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
books.
Horror.
So what we do is we talk to each other, and then if
Mhm.
yun nga, yung when our mom promises us a book each, sasabihin ko na, okay, nakolekta na natin yung part 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna get part 5 and you're gonna get part 6. So ganun kami. Para nako-complete namin yung series. So ngayon, I don't know anyone who's like that ngayon. Or kami lang yun. But my friends din, my friends, although they like a different genre, they're also avid readers.
Mhm.
So, oh look. Hi, Elaine. So I hope na ano, we use reading to de-stress kasi I actually use reading as a form of distressing. So I hope mga teachers can do this then. Even if it's not like a full book, maybe kasi there are some short stories, diba? Especially on Amazon, it's very much encouraged to have short um books. So I also found out that our lovely writers, so shout out mga writers, na pag mga students or pag fellow teachers and we ask our fellow authors who can donate their stories for use of the classroom, they actually donate their stories, including me. So, yeah, comment sa amin maybe, email us, message us. If you have writer friends out there, please ask them. They are very, very, very willing to lend their stories for use of the classroom. So a big shout out to all my friends who really helped me out there, especially to what's this Carlo Vergara. Hi, Sir Carlo, and Toby Abad, who gives me a lot of their stories. So, um, yeah, audience, fellow writers, please donate your stories to our fellow teachers who might like to use your stories.
Oh, what happened? Nawala.
Hello. Sorry, I got disconnected for a bit. Can
Hello
you guys
po.
see me? Because I
You
don't know,
were
for some
frozen
reason my
on
internet
screen po.
switched. Let me
Can you hear me po?
hello. Sorry, technical difficulties. I'm sorry. Here, Elaine says she cannot see me, but I hope. Oh wait, Yuki says she can see. All right. Sorry guys, I don't know what happened. Nagfo-fluctuate ang internet ever since nagkalindol here. So hopefully let's pick up where our discussion ended. All right. So often in the wake of violence, our focus is rightfully on the victims. However, since we are fellow writers, what do you think the role of literature plays out here? Do you think it's helping students or perhaps the students who are feeling alienated? Can we use literature to help them understand the complexities of human behavior? Because as Idol mentioned kanina, the kids right now kulang sila ng EQ, and she is right. I do see um, a lack of EQ, and not just EQ, also AQ. So for those who don't know what AQ is, it's adversity quotient. Kung bata pa lang, they don't know how to fail in little things. When they go older, they don't know how to fail in big things. And the moment they do fail or stumble a little bit, pumuputok sila. So um, That's AQ. And then you have your EQ to balance it. You regulate yourself, your emotions. And then we can see naman ngayon that our kids, mataas ang IQ nila. Siguro mas mataas pa yung IQ nila kaysa atin. But without the EQ, Idol is right. Kung wala yung EQ, medyo mahirap. So what do you guys think? You think literature can help, or does literature have a role to play in all this?
I'll go first. Muna siguro.
All right.
So, well, I fell in love with reading po back when I was in third year high school. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was in third year high school when our English teacher po used to assign classic books for us. So I read different classic books that kind of like opened my eyes to different situations. Although some of them might be fictional, but pero usually kasi if it's classic, there's a real story behind it, like the Animal Farm, Gulliver's Travel,
All right.
what do you call that?
Those
Scarlet Letter. So those stories, though they were fictional, they what's really going on in the society po before. I mean, can you still hear me po? Sorry.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Ayun. So as I was saying nga po, ayun. So those classics, the classic novels po, are not just fiction based on imagination, but those were based on real life events na kind of like eye openers. So dito lang din sa atin sa literature, we have No Limit ang Heren El Filibusterismo, right? And the other authors, Filipino authors din po, made it real na even though they're fiction, there's always a touch of reality in them. So I think in this case, for the students to be able to understand the complexities of human behavior, allowing them to read varieties of books will help them step into another person's shoe for the experience. Because if they would just focus on them, ang perspective nila is kung ano lang yung perspective nila. However, if they will read more books, regardless of the genre, let's say, they would experience a different person's life, and maybe it could broaden their perspective. Hindi lang sa kung ano yung experience nila in life. Like they would also be given the chance to think of how every different character in the story thinks, and how they can be how can they apply yung way of thinking and the perspective ng mga characters do sa books po na nababasa nila. It helps them to not only, let's say, be smart in terms of vocabs, of course, pero it will also help them understand or be empathizing towards others. Maybe sympathize pa rin po aside from empathizing. So
True. Yep.
that's my
Yeah.
take on this one po.
Yeah. I actually, yeah, as I said, I assign a lot of reading materials. Hindi naman sila like a must kasi nowadays we can't force the kids to do anything anymore. So it's more like a suggestion. So we give a lot of suggested reading materials, which I hope, I really, 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 really hope that kids get to read. But with the variety of books ngayon, there are actually a lot of books that I don't know that they read. Um, when I was my youngest so far na handle na talagang class, not just a volunteer in public school, private school. It's actually grade 6. And when I asked them first day of class, but usually you try to get to know your students. You ask them what do they read, because at that time or that was last year, I was teaching fiction writing. So I asked them, what do you guys read? A lot of them actually like the Percy Jackson na series. And along those lines then, yeah, and a lot of light novels that were the basis of mga anime. So they like it in literature form, which I was surprised that they like the light novels more than the anime itself. They watch the anime, but they really sought out the light novels to read them. So I'm like, Oh, very nice, very nice. They're able to do they read things like those. And those light novels aren't exactly ano, medyo makapal din sila eh. So, which was very very surprising and very refreshing because my grade 11 and 12 students medyo hindi masyado nagbabasa compared to these grade 6. Yeah. Yeah. You're right, Idol. It's teaching them empathy when they sympathize with the characters. Ako, I like to read kapag nagdi-distress ako ha. I really like it kapag medyo emotional yung guys. Kasi kung girls ang emotional, feel ko, ako na yun eh, emotional na ako eh. I wanna read about when the guy, 'di ba, is emotional and the girl is the stronger one, and not that she's lifting him up. It's just that he's bearing his emotions out and titingnan niya if if mata-turn off ba yung girl or hindi sa kanyang emotional ano, gano'n. Pero hindi siya
Maybe
emotional
you,
manipulator.
maybe you should write that.
Yeah, yeah, see, I guess
You should
girly
write that.
fantasy. Gusto mo yung guy na nag-e-express ng kanyang emotions, 'di ba?
Mas okay po
Hindi
yun
siya
kaysa sa
pero
hindi nag express.
yeah,
Mas mahirap po yung hindi nag express kasi di mo alam kung ano nasa isip.
yeah. And then here you have, 'di ba, your dream guy, he's either an alpha werewolf or a vampire or a shifter or something. He's a
I don't
manly
really
person
read those
with
materials po, to be
emotion.
honest. Hindi, kasi uso po sila ngayon, di ba, yung alpha, yung mga werewolf novels po. I think those are in demand nowadays, aside from the billionaire and mafia stuff. So,
Yes.
they kind of like over-exaggerate things na parang masyado na siyang malayo sa katotohanan. Pero, I mean, it's in demand. So, I think they really kind of encourage reading pa rin naman. But, ayun lang po. Hindi ko lang sila masyadong preferred basahin talaga.
Actually, gusto
Magkakaiba
ko yung
tayo ng
ako yung
ano,
napapahagulgol
generation.
na ano, eh. Ako yung napapahagulgol na reader na inapi-api pala siya nung bata pa siya kaya, ganyan siya nung pagkalaki niya. I don't know. It's just
Paglaki
me,
niya,
I
iba
guess,
na ugali.
preference.
I think I'm into, mas fixated po ako magbasa ngayon ng mga books from John Grisham, tsaka po James Patterson. Like,
Oh,
for some reason, I love reading
mas
books from
action.
them. Hindi ko po alam kung bakit.
Mas
So,
So I
action-oriented.
have I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Ano ang favorite books ninyo that really helped you or changed your life?
Mm. Idol, I'll let you go first because napaisip ako.
ako din po. Pero, I think the first book that comes to mind po was The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Then
Understand?
followed siya by, yun nga po, yung Tuesdays with Morrie. It was The Old Man and the Sea because, not because it was assigned for us po to read back in high school, pero the story po kasi was about someone who has always been bullied by the people around him. He was considered a salaw or malas na tao. He was a fisherman. So,
Mhm.
he was considered malas kasi every time papalaot siya, wala siyang huli. Tapos pag may mga kasabay siya, wala ring huli. So, they considered him malas na lahat ng tao iniiwasan siya. Except for one kid.
Okay.
What's the name of that kid? Wait, hold on a second. Manolin, I think was the name of the kid. And Santiago was the name of the fisherman po. So it was only Manolin who believed in him, who encouraged him na wag siyang susuko despite what he's been hearing. And then old Santiago had this thing in mind na dahil may isang taong naniwala sa kanya, he kept going. He kept fishing out in the ocean and promised himself na he's gonna catch himself a marlin, which happened in the ending. So naging spoiler pa. So ayun. So I think that was the very first book that comes to mind every time na yung change, like inspiring book yung maiisip ko because that kind of inspired me as well na not to give up despite of the obstacles that life has been throwing at me. So, ayun, yun po.
Me, I
Yeah.
suppose my if you say the book that talagang changed like, whoa, umiba yung perspective ko. The Song of the Lioness na series. Ano pangalan no? Tamora Pierce. High school reading. Pero I read her mga kakatapos ko na high school. Magka-college na ako nun. I encountered her books. I forgot ano. Yeah, I got it in National Bookstore. And then I just got hooked kasi strong female lead siya, which was a little different that time because most of the genre na ganon, medieval, action, ganyan, lalaki ang main character. Unless, you have romance or slice of life, yung Babysitter's Club, mga ganyan, girl. Pero for things na what do you call this? Ito, parang it's medieval fantasy, pero babae. And strong female lead talaga siya. She was hiding as gusto niya maging knight, pero babae siya eh. So what she does is, she pretends to be a boy, goes into knight school, becomes a knight, um, against all odds, as in with jousting tournaments and ganon. And ang pinaka, ano na to, yung graduation, kumbaga nila, na-reveal na babae siya. And instead of, kasi yung naging best friend niya yung king, and yung king, well, nagkagusto din sa kanya, pero tinurn down niya yung king. And, well, maraming story pa yun because it's a very good series. It actually is not just one series. Tamora Pierce actually expanded the world after that. So nung lumabas yung next na series niya, which is Protector of the Small na series, where there's another girl who wants to be a knight, but this time hindi na niya tinago. As in, girl talaga siya. Hindi na niya tinago. That's a continuation story. Kumbaga, it happened 10, 20 years after Alana's story. So, nung na-read ko rin parang, girl power. Because that time, kakatapos lang ng Harry Potter na series, which is boy din, ang main character. To find a girl that, can do magic, can do night stuff, can do, was really talagang, wow, that's the type of book that I want to write. I didn't write medieval fantasy, of course, but I wanted ganon. When I write, I want my female lead to be strong. But when I read, I want my male character to be strong. Medyo may kaibahan, di ba? Oh, thank you, TBC Production. Congratulations daw, and more books to come. Thank you, thank you. So, Yumi's also there. Thank you, everyone who is watching. So we'll move on to our next topic so we can move this along. So this one is for us as we are educators, but also a fiction writer. So when you sit down to build a story, we deal with conflict, character motivation, resolution. How does that writer's lens change the way you help students, especially in analyzing real world conflict or understanding behind the whys behind the harmful action? I want to see your thoughts on this. Bronte says, congratulations. Thank you, Bronte. Alrighty. So, Amy, thoughts on this?
Yes. Well, first you have to, create a supportive discussion. We can encourage students to share their interpretations of what happened, without really feeling pressured without feeling pressured. They just say something about what happened, how they felt, and then maybe I have to monitor the students' responses, watch for signs of discomfort during the discussion, and we can also use literature as a bridge to resilience. To complement reading, we can also ask them to write something, do a reflective writing as a creative expression. Okay? Pwede ring magkaroon ng exercises, like simple exercises. For example, we can use some literary devices like stories or allegories. Okay,
Yep.
so the teacher can ask the student to, for example, uh, there's we can ask them to create a story, like for example, a village where everyone's shadows have disappeared. Okay, so what do you think about this? What happens when a community feels unsafe? Ganon. Or we can also ask them to invent a world like what we do in our stories, world building. Okay, we can also ask them to do that. Okay, so for example, we can ask them to invent a world where fear takes physical form. For example, the fear becomes a mist or a monster or a storm. So, of course, people are afraid of that. So, they can do that. So, when they create that monster or storm or mist, we can ask them, what can people do? What gives people the strength to fight back? What are the solutions that we can do? How do we cope? Things like that. Okay.
So Yumi says
And
guided reading is important. Reading with comprehension. Yeah.
mm, so as a
How about
teacher, we
you,
can do
Idol?
that. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Yeah, Idol.
Okay, so to answer this question, well, honestly, for this particular things about like human bullying and stuff and other harmful actions, we as much as possible avoid these topics during our classes because we know how sensitive South Koreans are when it comes to things like this. So wala po kaming masyadong topic regarding this. As much as possible, the topics are mostly friendly. But if ever man po, just in case, just to address the question, I'd say that
Okay.
po, to always look not the behavior alone, but maybe think of it. Ang hirap na explain, pero it's mostly about when someone behaves in a way we're not expecting. Maybe we should just teach them that okay, isipin mo na lang siguro may pinagdadaanan to. He's not like that in real life. Baka may problema lang. So it has something to do with thinking na teaching the students na wag not to react impulsively in an aggressive manner, but maybe before they react, before they become aggressive, they have to analyze first the reason behind a person's behavior because we don't know what's going on dun sa person's mind, especially pag wala na sila sa classroom. So I think it's also important that we try to kasi as writers, di ba, we build not only people, we create characters. And every time we make characters, we think of reasons why a certain character behaves this way. Meron sila mga backstory. So I think
True.
that's also the same way I'll be teaching my students in the future that they have to try to analyze muna a person's backstory before they react in a negative manner towards that person. Kasi we have different shoes. And I think one of yun nga po, the reason why emotional intelligence is really important is because people would be able to, or especially students, would be able to think rationally before reacting harshly towards a certain behavior na pinakita sa kanila ng ibang tao. So I think it's mostly about let them or help or guide them how to analyze a person before they react.
True. One of the exercises that I actually do for or let my students do, I give a scenario and then I let them continue it, like end it in a paragraph, which is actually interesting because everybody gives you a very different perspective on how they want to end a certain scenario. I suppose
Mhm.
that's a way of looking at it in different angles because pinapa-share ko sa class eh. Usually kasi my class size is not so big. So there is time for everybody to share. And when everybody listens to, oh, iba yung ginawa niya. Kato pala. Oh, hindi ko na-expect yun. So I like discussions like those. I like to see kasi din how everybody has I suppose you're asking the students to see that everybody has a different perspective. It's not your perspective, but it gives color, it gives life, it gives a different meaning to the same scenario that everybody was looking at. Iba yung responses nila. All right. So many students find it impossible to speak directly about traumatic events, any kind of traumatic event, especially. So these students may or may not be involved in any of the recent violence. I have handled students involved in a different kind of violence. A lot of them self-expressed, of course. Mahirap. How can we use creative writing? So this one is really an exercise for us teachers, no? And us writers, us writers mainly. How can we use creative writing exercises, not necessarily asking them to write about the incident, but perhaps through allegory, world building, or character perspective to help them externalize this fear, this conflict, and I suppose find a sense of control. So how can we use kumbaga, how do we use our powers?
Yeah, we can give them exercises, short and simple exercises. Like, for example, the symbolic objects, we can give them ordinary objects, like, for example, a key or a lantern or an umbrella, and they can make a story about that. Because a key, it has a symbol, right? It can open things. A lantern is light, so it gives light. Umbrella protects us from the rain. And the seed is when you plant it, it grows and can give us food, like that. So objects can be made as simple healing or give gives hope to children. Okay, that's one.
Amy? Sorry, idol?
I don't.
So I'm still absorbing the question, but hold on. Okay, so how can we use creative writing to help them externalize their fears and find a sense of control? Well, I think this could help them to, I mean, not we, let's consider first the fact that not everyone expresses themselves through writing. Some could just literally be verbal about what they feel. And mostly, I think introverts are the ones who used to express themselves through writing book. So I think with creating creative writing activities, we could ask the students, even those, let's say, mga verbal students, na if they were a character in their own story, I'm just gonna give them, for example, a particular setting, and if they were a character in their favorite story, for example, how or how should I say it? So first, I would definitely ask them what their favorite story is. Pwedeng yung books na nabasa nila before, or pwedeng maybe characters sa mga games, kasi we know that teens are into games right now. So if ever, I'll just try to ask them, now if they were a character in the game that they play or in the story that they read, if they were to insert themselves there, what kind of persona will they introduce? How will they react to the setting of the story? How will they, let's say, how would they communicate with the other characters? And when they write about it, because it's more of like, for sure, once we know their interest po kasi, I mean, it's if we ask, it's difficult to ask someone to write, especially if they don't like to do it. But if you think, if we try to somehow tap it to their interest, that's why I mentioned games po kanina, they might be encouraged to do so. So I think it could help them somehow express themselves in a way that we could dive into their perspective. We would be able, or we as teachers would be able to know them a little bit better because syempre when they're in school, iba pa rin yung mask na suot ng mga students. So writing who they want to be in, the story that they want to be in, could somehow help us see through their minds and understand how they would react in different settings. So I think yung pag-externalize po nila ng fears and their sense of control, especially if the fictional setup would be happening in real life just in case, we would already know paano sila magre-react to the stimuli around them po. So I don't know if I make sense, but this
I
question
get
is
Yes,
it.
really
I get it.
difficult.
I
actually.
get it.
Yes.
And
But
you're right. Not
do we do
everybody
that?
actually. Not everyone expresses themselves through writing. I'm actually also volunteering here in Davao City. I volunteer in Talikala. It's a foundation for abused, trafficked, and prostituted young girls. So I actually take care of girls from 13 years old up to 21. So a lot of them, most of their trauma started at 10 or younger pa. So you can imagine, di ba? By 13, 14, may baby na, they're still traumatized, they're still in the streets. No, not none of them are writers, but I do art therapy with them. So we have a lot of art journaling. I provide papers, coloring materials for those na hindi kayang mag-draw. They express it with stickers. So parang kinokollage nila on a page. We never talk about their trauma because I'm not their psychologist. But we do a lot of processing in their life. A lot of the things kasi is I know a lot of them are saying that we don't want to face the trauma. We're not ready for that. And I do understand some of them are medyo raw pa eh. So ang kumbaga, action plan ko is to make them look at the future. Okay, we don't want to look at the past yet. We're not yet ready for that. So let's go to the future. At least it gives us a direction. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of mostly empowerment, female empowerment, because all the ones that I'm taking care of are all girls. Eh. So a lot of girl empowerment. Na ano, we choose if they cannot express it themselves, they choose a quote, like a girl power quote or a Bible quote, a quote that makes them feel empowered. They will post it, paste it in the page. They either they draw around it or they what do you call this? Put stickers, put anything that would help them express what they feel about it. Some of them can start really like a mess, and some of them can be really good. May iba may calligraphy pa and also. Yeah, yeah, the idol is right. It's not always writing. But there is evidence of ano kasi readers, avid readers, especially though of fiction, literary fiction, actually outperform non-readers. So it might be a lot of factors, might be um, if they empathize nga or not. Pero when a child kasi is transported into a story or into a different scenario, their brain simulates a character or it allows them to try on a different perspective. It allows them to resolve conflict, which is not their own conflict. So it's more like emotionally safe and kumbaga low stakes. Low stakes pa siya. And oops, nawala si Idol. So yeah, it is it's tricky, when we're dealing with these kasi I suppose for these kids, the sense of control talagang uh we have that as writers when we don't have that in real life. Kasi life happens. But in writing you actually have control. You have a lot of control. Ikaw yung control freak when you're writing. So, yeah. All right. So we are actually at the end of the topic. But before we take on questions, I would like to hear last talking points. Let's start with Amy while Idol is bearing herself muna. Amy, do you have any last words to part?
Yes. Well, literature can help children talaga with their emotions because stories create a safe space where difficult feelings can be explored without the child feeling exposed. Instead of saying, let's talk about your anger, a teacher or parent can ask, why do you think the character was angry? That's makes children more willing to engage. It will help the children be more open.
Yeah.
Only that.
Yeah. Idol, do you have any last things to say before we see if we have some questions?
Okay, so regarding the topic that we had before tonight, I'd say that we should allow, I mean, we should, as teachers, we should not only teach, like, the academic aspects, but also the emotional. We also should develop the emotional intelligence in the children because, hello po, can you still hear me?
We can hear you.
Hello po?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay,
you.
sorry po. Ayun. So, I'd say that helping them with their emotional quotient as well is important, is as equally important as the other aspects of learning because if a person is emotionally intelligent, they could probably be able to connect with a lot of people in the future, especially kapag nandun na sila sa real world when they already leave the premises of their schools. And once they are fully developed na po, I would say that they could be strong individuals in the future. And writing is one of the ways in which we could help them develop emotional intelligence in terms of reading and writing, to be specific. Because, as I mentioned earlier, when you let children read, you would you somehow help them experience the life of other people without leaving the comfort of their home. So, reading helps them broaden their perspective about how people react, people's emotions, especially when it comes to fictional characters who are somehow existing in real life din na hindi pa lang nila nami-meet siguro. Writing, on the other hand, can also be helpful. Maybe it could be I would say journal writing because not everyone would do that, like a diary stuff. But fiction writing is helpful as well because subconsciously, for sure, one of the characters that they will be creating in their story would be a portion of themselves. I'm just saying this because I think that's how I write. Every time I write a character, I always make sure that one of my characteristics would be there do sa mga characters na yun. So somehow I'm letting out a portion of myself to the world or to the people whoever will read my story, kind of
Yeah.
like get to know me a little bit better through my
Yeah.
characters. So I think that's just a simple step to help children or students to express their ano ba yun, yung parang yung a piece of them to the people around them. It could be their escape. For example, na I don't want in reality pwedeng sabihin nila na I don't want people to know that I'm this fragile. But I can make a character who's fragile but merong magandang character development at the end. So parang the more they write, the more they put their persona into the characters in their story, the more they become confident about themselves, about their flaws, about about the things they're good at, they could somehow improve them and be the better version of themselves.
Yeah. And as you said, they can put themselves in that shoes. And because you
Yes.
are the writer, you're the writer, you have to put yourself also in the bad guy's shoes. So you have to think, if you
Yes.
have to think on both sides. You're the bad guy and the good guy.
Yes.
Very interesting, very nice. That's actually very nice, Idol. It's it's really going to I hope our future writers out there see it that way, especially our writers who are who are very young, diba? So if you can put your put yourself in the shoes of all the characters around you. Yeah. So for me, last parting words ko
Because
because
honestly, po, as an introvert,
mm-hmm, yeah.
oh, sorry po.
No, 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 sure,
Yeah.
sure.
As an introvert po kasi it's not really a piece of cake to open up because you'll never know if the person you're sharing your emotions with would really be genuinely listening to you, or the person you're sharing your life story with is someone who's going to judge you. So I think writing is just a better way of slowly putting yourself into the characters and letting the people around you know na, "Ah, okay, may ganito akong attitude, may ganito akong attitude." So I think that's just
Yeah,
my way of showing myself little by little.
it's true. It's true. And thank you for sharing that. It is hard, diba? It's hard to. You're right. So, uh, me last part before we go into questions because we have a question. So, um, I had a hard time expressing myself when I was still young, but for some reason, I did have teachers who saw my potential, and I was just in high school then. I was really extremely introverted to the point where if you ask me to talk and you're waiting and looking at me to talk, I burst out into tears and run away. But I had teachers who saw my potential, and they really, feel ko yung parang, "Oh my gosh, pinuntigyan naman ako ng teachers. Bakit ba ako na lang nagre-report? 2 weeks in a row, lahat ng subject akong nag-report." Parang feel ko tina-target akong lahat. And then, after graduation or yung pag-graduation na, dun ko nalaman na they sat down together, the teachers, I'm not joking, the teachers sat down together and talked about everybody in class and thought, now, who can we help? Who can we bring out of the shell? Who can we do this too? And they were right. It took a while kasi hindi naman instant yon. Pero napapansin ko lang parang padalas ng padalas yung pagre-report ko compared to the other people na mas articulate than me, to the point where pagdating ng fourth year ko in high school kasi hindi ko naabutan ang senior high, eh. So, fourth year and then graduation na. When I reached fourth year, I was still shy, pero I wasn't afraid to show my voice na. So, I was in school plays, I was in a musical, I had no problem when they assigned me a report. Yeah, I can do that. Oh, words for hindi akong words for the day. What is this? News. Usually, in the morning we have this thing in class kasi the first 15 minutes in class, we talk about the news. So everybody had to read the newspaper. As in, yeah, we were trained that way. If hindi mo na ano yan, before class starts, tumakbo ka sa library, magbasa ka ng newspaper because when we start class discussions, you had to like talk about like ito. I feel ko if I were still in high school and then the teacher would just open up and say, "Oh, what do you feel about General Trias, Tacloban, things?" We had to like answer articulately. And at first, of course, as a student, you feel a little bit resentful. Ako na naman, ako na naman. And then when I realized nung graduation, I heard the teachers say that, ginagawa namin 'to. We really sit down every week and we talk about you guys and we look for ways to help you. Do'n ko na-appreciate ang pagiging teacher. doon ko talagang na-feel na, oh, this is it. This is how it is to be a teacher. And I really appreciated my teachers then. They really brought it out of me. I thought I was just an artist. I didn't think I had skills in writing, but they saw it even before I did. Kaya, malambot ang puso ko when it comes to fellow teachers because I
Mhm.
love teachers. They were really they were really my biggest help and the ones who really changed my life. So, to all my teachers out there, I love you guys. Let's go to questions. We have a question over here. All right, so let me put it on screen. So, Bronte asked, how do you feel that you have created books and know that a piece of you are going to be out there? You've embraced all the uncertainties, but you're still able to write despite any challenges. What a good question. So, I see Amy laughing. Do you have Anna here? Do you want to answer this question?
Parang ngayon yung persona kasi talaga, the writers are really writing about their experiences. So I agree. 75% of what we are writing, it's about us.
Yeah, true. We
But
we want we want
it's,
strong
yeah,
female lead characters in our
yeah,
writings.
we want to be that strong person, right? Mm.
Yeah. Idol, how about you? How do you feel about your books are out there? Si Idol nag-launch ng book.
Thank you po. Well, honestly po, I'm still in disbelief that those books are out there, especially the one that was traditionally published, because I wasn't really expecting it to be accepted. But while I was writing it, well, I just poured my heart into it because I know that I just think of my characters like they're real people. They're not fictional. Like what I mentioned, a piece of them, a piece of me. If there's a little bit, a piece of me in them and the people around me. So I don't think of them as fictional. I think of them as real people. To the point na it's weird. The book Renta, to be honest, it's kind of weird because it just happened na nag-rent po ako ng apartment because my work is in Alabang po right now. And I have to make sure na malapit ako sa workplace. So the idea came to me and then I don't know if other writers also feel this way that when it's time for you to write, you would hear their voices in you. So
Yeah,
literal
yeah,
na, oh, you have to write this about me. You have to do this. You have to do that. And then if you're not writing, you would hear voices telling you, why are you not writing? So parang may conscience, may guilt conscience po na bumubulong sa'yo. So I think one of the things that, yun nga po, I'm still in disbelief that my books are out there, my babies are out there, and it's mostly that I know that those characters are real. I consider them as real people because if you're a writer, you're you not only build a world that you want to live in, but a world that you think is perfect for the characters you created. And I'd say I also would like to take this chance. I'm not sure kung may nakikinig akong teachers dito, but I'm really grateful to them, especially those teachers back when I was in third year high school, because just like Miss Maita mentioned earlier, I was really aloof to the point na third grading na namin bago pa ako nakilala ng teacher ko sa English. So, ganun ako katahimik sa klase. Hindi niya ako kilala. Kung hindi pa ako nag-top dun sa exam namin, tsaka na lang tatanungin, sino to si ano? And then, okay, so, sabi niya pa sa akin, her words were still clear in my mind. She told me that I really didn't do good sa objective type of test. Pero nakabawi daw ako dun sa essay. And then she even told me that, why don't you join the school newspaper? I was like, paano? Hindi naman ako magaling. I was already in third year. Pwede pa ba? So, literally po, I was a late bloomer because yung iba matagal na nag-start sa school paper. Ako magsa-start third year high school na ako. And just like Miss Maita, late na po, like fourth year na ako naging active with the activities in school. which I was able to carry on nung nag-college ako kahit papano. And I was really inspired to keep writing because of that teacher from third year high school. And yung teacher ko po when I was in first year college, who also would say na, you would make it as a writer. Just believe in yourself. So,
Yes.
that's it. Yes. So, yeah. And ayun, the reason why I really love yun nga po yung kay Ernest Hemingway na The Old Man and the Sea is because hindi mo kailangan ng maraming supporters to push you na maging ikaw, to push you to achieve your dream. What you need is just one genuine person who literally believe in you. Not only believe in you for the sake of nasabihan ka lang ng, uy, kaya mo yan. Hindi ganun eh. There's just this person who would tell you na regardless how difficult situation would be, you should never stop aiming for what you really want to be. Ayun po. That's my take
Yeah.
on this one.
Thank you for sharing that. But yeah, yeah, teachers talaga may impact sa atin, di ba? When they tell us
Yes po.
magaling ang writing natin, it really touches us.
Talaga.
Yeah.
Yun
Teachers
po.
talaga.
And you're right, it is a piece of us that it's out there. And ito ha, very supportive ng pamilya ko. As in, super supportive nila. Events ko, nandun sila, and they would share all my posts and stuff. But honestly, none of them have read my books.
Yun lang.
I don't know why, but um. By the way, I my book is also out in Spain kasi me and two other writers we have a collab na book and it's translated in Spanish. Yun lang, hindi siya an
Oh,
ebook. Medyo
correct.
traditional kasi like when I say traditional, like uh, a university has published it and they don't have an ebook arm. But anyways, our stories, Mindanao, much more than an island, translated to Spanish. Yun. Uh, I cannot pronounce the Spanish translation. Is out, and they're sending us books here that we can sell to the Philippine market. Kasi ako'y makulit and sabi ko, then if we don't have an ebook arm, how are my relatives and my friends going to get the books? So they're like, okay, we'll send you books. Thank you.
Wow.
So I was very proud of that, those stories for kids, by the way, ang ni-write ko na stories. And they're heavily focused on Mindanao because when I came home here in Davao City, I felt like I need to put much more um, Davao-ness, Mindanao-ness into my writing. So I concentrated a lot on culture. And even in my fiction books, I try to put a bit of culture because prior to that, ang setting niya is either abroad or in Manila. And I said, why aren't I writing more about here in Mindanao? So for yung collab namin with Alyssa and Carl, uh, I set one of the stories, kasi ano yun, anthology, three of the stories actually came from me. One story is set in Lake Cebu. Sorry, two of the stories are set in Lake Cebu. And the third story is, you wouldn't know where it's set, but it's obviously in Mindanao because they're wearing malongs. So, um, itong piece of you talagang touch me. Yes, it is a piece of me. So we don't have any more questions. So thank you, Bronte, for that.
Thank you,
And
Bronte.
thank you, everybody who's been listening. 1.5 hours na pala tayo. Napaka-lively nating discussion, di ba? And I'm actually very thankful for that because we had such an active discussion. Can you imagine kung wala tayong masabi sa isa't isa? 10 minutes pa lang tapos na tayo. So I would really, really like to thank our audience who is watching us from wherever you guys are. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yumi. Thank you, Yuki, Bronte, and Elaine. and TBC Productions. So thank you everyone who's um, there. I will be posting this video on YouTube, and it is still here in the PIA Facebook. It's going to be here for I think 30 days before um, Facebook takes it down. Yun yung bagong policy niya for live. I don't know why. But not to worry. Yumi and I will repost it. Naka ano na siya. Naka, what do you call this? Put in YouTube na siya. So thank you everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Idol. So
Amen.
everyone, thank you very, very much.
See ya.
See ya.